There was a writer in Paris in the mid-1800s, a writer named George Sand. George Sand turned out more than 60 books, by hand, of course, sometimes writing so fast and furiously that a novel that had been commissioned on a Monday morning might get onto the publisher's desk by Friday afternoon of the same week. Political activist, a friend, an intimate, really, of some of the really great figures of that period. Balzac, Liszt, Chopin. Oh, and another thing. George Sand was a woman. Was she a Titan?
If I could reach across and bring you from the well of time anyone who has ever lived, who would you ask me to bring? Which of the great ones? Which of the Titans?
Let me just put your coat in here. And I'll take your hat and your stick. You want to keep that. I'm a little uncertain what I should call you.
You can call me George.
Okay, that's good, because Mr. Sand would sound...
Everybody had that problem.
Of course, I could call you Aurore.
Aurore was what I was.
Or Madame Dudevant.
Well, Mr. Watson.
Patrick. They remember the lists of your lovers. Prosper Mérimée, Sandeau, Marie Dorval, Chopin.
But not the list of my books?
Well, 60 books or more, 13,000 pages of letters, that's quite a list.
But not memorable.
Well, I think mostly they remember you as the woman who went around Paris dressed as a man.
That's memorable. Do you want to know why I did that?
Well, I assumed that it was...
1830. I'd just come to Paris after leaving my husband. I had myself a pair of trousers made, a vest, a hat, a walking cane, and I flew around Paris. It's amazing the difference it made. I had total freedom. I could do what I want. I could see what I wanted. I was as free as a man.
Clothes make the man, huh?
To each his dress, to each his freedom. All right, ask me some more. This matter of dress, it can't be all that important.
Well, I sort of had the impression it was pretty important to you, because I thought you used men's clothing in order to be shocking.
Shocking? What was shocking was the way they treated women. It's 1831, and I'm in Paris. I'd just written my first novel, Indiana. Perhaps one day you'll read it. And I went to a publisher to ask him for his comments. He didn't give me any advice at all. In fact, he told me that women were an inferior race, that even the most intelligent woman could not possibly write a good book. He walked me to the door, very solemnly said, "Don't make books, make babies."
What did you say?
I turned back at him and I said, "Upon my word, sir, you would do best to follow your own advice if you could."
Well, I won't even ask.
Women complained of being badly treated, badly loved, badly educated.
It was all true.
It was all true. Most women had a deplorable education in my time. Do you know, I think that's man's greatest crime against us. Men have monopolized the best schools for centuries. They played upon women's most innocent and legitimate feelings, so that women were content to be meek, content to be abused, content to be treated as children. The process had become so widespread that men even declared that all this was consecrated by God, that it was a law, an unwritten holy law. Don't make books, make babies.
Well, look, that's all changed. No, it has. It's changed.
And marriage? You must love, honor, and obey forever and ever. What an absurd vow. And women made it. Become a pretty woman, sparkle for everybody, play the piano for everybody, marry a rich man, lose your total freedom for clothes and a warm place to live.
Well, that's changing, too.
But that's what it was like.
Yeah.
Now, no man should obey a woman. That would be monstrous. But the other way around. And the power the law gave to a man, the power to refuse to protect his children, the right to insult his wife, the right to beat her, the right to commit adultery.
Well, you had lovers.
And I dressed as a man. Well, Mr. Watson, in your wonderful change society, would you like to wear a skirt?
No, but just a minute. You just said that you condemned adultery.
No, wait. I didn't condemn adultery. I said what was right for my husband was right for me.
All right, so when you left your husband...
And his mistresses. No. Let me tell you the story. I had found a letter addressed to me, his wife, to be opened in the event of his death.
And you opened it?
Who could resist hearing from the dead?
Guilty. Okay.
And in this letter, nothing but curses and complaints. Now, I had been writing to my friends at this time that the discomforts of marriage were really not all that important. That there was nothing sweeter than to feel a baby moving inside of you. That if man cannot love the way women can, then it's the woman's duty to bend to the man. And I stand there reading this letter, and I realize that everything I've said before are lies. What garbage. I want an allowance. I'm leaving the country forever, and I'm leaving the children with you in the country.
Those children that you were going to leave behind, how old were they then?
Maurice was 7 and Solange was 2.
Didn't you have any sense of guilt or remorse about leaving a 2-year-old child?
It was a bluff. I wanted to show him how strongly I felt. And it worked. I got to go to Paris. I got an allowance. Not much of an allowance. So I had to find a job. Now,
what could you do?
That's right. What could I do? What could a woman do with the education given her? Become a cook? A seamstress? Make pretty hats? I remembered that when I was younger, I used to tell my mother long stories. She called them my novels. She also found them extremely boring.
That changed soon enough when you got them down on paper. Paris called them perverted.
Do you find my novels perverted, Mr. Watson? You haven't read any, of course.
Of course I have. No, they're not perverted, but Paris called them perverted.
Those who found my novels perverted were perverted themselves. The strong people, the sure people, they were not shocked.
And the others?
They, because of their own weaknesses, wanted me not to write of weaknesses. Would a man who is having a good relationship with his wife be afraid to read about infidelity? Would a politician who is sure he's doing the best for his people be afraid to read about rebellion?
You were the most prolific woman writer in history.
If the wolf is at the door and your child has gone to bed hungry, you write. I saw other writers carefully polishing their art, waiting for their muse. But I had hungry children. I had to push my imagination along. I was never really a true artist, although I felt all the pains of a true artist. Suffering, tiredness, love. But I kicked my muse along. I violated her.
Maybe that's why nobody reads you anymore.
No?
No.
Well, what was important was they read me then. I had something to share with my people. And those were novels, Mr. Watson. If I had to, I could write one in 5 days. If it lasted 5 years, that was fine, as long as they published me and paid me.
Well, you did influence people. You influenced Karl Marx, for example.
Because I was a socialist.
And Dostoevsky and Walt Whitman, the Brownings, Marcel Proust.
I did what I could do. I was a born storyteller. My job was to write novels. And with my own special talent, my own art, I wanted to provoke people. I wanted to excite people. Maybe shock.
Okay, so here you are in Paris. You've taken a man's name. You need a job. You decide to become a writer, which was really a male preserve at that time. An awful lot of changes to make at the age of 26. I mean, pretty late in life to do so much radical changing.
What life did I have till then? Doing all that was being born.
And changing your name.
I was born Amontine Aurore Lucille Dupin. My parents gave me that name. I got married. I became Madame Dudevant. My husband gave me that name. I moved to Paris and I became Georges Sand. I gave myself that name. I baptized myself. All by myself. This name, Georges Sand, I gave myself by my work.
Well, you know, if you look at the whole catalog, she takes a man's name, a man's job, man's clothes. She takes a woman as a lover.
Mr. Watson, you've never done any of those things? Taken a man's job, taken a woman as a lover?
Of course I have. I'm a man. It's natural for me. What's so funny?
Would you pretty your hair? Or flatter? Or cool?
Well, no, not exactly.
Neither would I. You are normal, Mr. Watson.
Whatever that means.
So am I. We're both normal. We're normal people. You wouldn't do those things, and neither would I. But I'll roll you a cigarette.
Thank you.
Off to put out another fire, Griswold?
Well, Chief, I found that
I assume you called first?
Right, flights booked,
Oh,
cars rented, got the best room in town,
I see.
and Max has reserved my usual table.
And?
And then I called our customer and straightened out the whole mess by long distance.
Stick around, Griswold. You'll go far.
Business long distance. Today's way to operate.
When it's time to find that special home, there's a place where dreams can grow. A neighborhood to call your own. A place you're proud to call your home. Come to life in Erin Mills. You're moving up in every way. You can watch your dreams unfold. Come on, come to life in Erin Mills.
The happy times. Times to enjoy and to refresh with beverages from Sonar Dry. A variety of exciting flavors that will deliver to your home for just $4.50 a case. Or try other Sonar favorites like Mont Rosé Carbonated Mineral Water, just $6.99 a case. Or Iceland Natural Spring Water for just $5.50. And now Sonar Bitter for just $5 a case. Try the refreshing taste of Sonar. Call 241-1311 for home delivery.
We'll price you down. We'll take you up, down, all around. Any way you like, it's all yours. Ontario Place, it's all yours. You like it here, you like it there. You like it here, there, everywhere. Any way you like, it's all yours. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Any way you like, it's all yours. Ontario Place is all yours.
Do you mind if we talk about your lovers?
I was wondering when you'd get around to asking me that question. You're not asking me about secrets, Mr. Watson. I'd be perfectly willing to tell you everything that I did if I thought for 1 minute it would do anybody the least bit of good. I behaved at 30 as, say, no girl of 15 would do. But I don't quite know what good it would do to talk about it. You've been in love. You know.
I've got a book here called The Book of Lists. And amongst the lists in this book of lists is one that outlines all the famous people who slept with all the famous people.
Now this is a perverse book. This one really is.
Alfred de Musset, the poet. Charles Monceau, the painter. Chopin for 9 years.
So perverted. with my own hand.
Is that all you have to say?
Did this book list your lovers?
Well, I don't think I'm
Is the
exact.
list as long? No, you don't have to say. You know Don Juan. You look more like a poet. Do you know that Don Juan slept with 1,003 women because none were ever able to give him any pleasure? My list wasn't half that long. We could talk about love, not this.
Does it interest you that all of your lovers were younger than you were?
All the older men were married. I slept with younger men because I did not wish to compete with the women who were still committed to marriage. They had enough problems. Love is everything, don't you think, Mr. Watson? When you're in love, your life is beautiful.
And so you went from man to man just so that you could continue to be...
And when love stops, life is the most detestable thing on earth. You're a wife. You do not love your husband. Should you be intimate with him? That would be loathsome. A woman who toys with her unloved husband like that is no more than a prostitute. She does it to assure her daily bread. Should I stay with a man I do not love? Would you stay with a woman you do not love? Why can't men have wings to come at night and in the morning fly away?
Yes.
Yes.
What was it about Marie Dorval, your woman lover?
Marie Dorval. She was so beautiful. She was everything that I was not. Have you ever seen a picture of her? I felt like I lacked courage. I felt like a near virgin when it came to life. I felt so constrained. She was everything. So different from me. She could say everything that she felt.
People said that you did that.
No, not in my diary, not to myself, but she did. She could. She was an actress. She let everything out of her heart. If I could have said everything I felt in my diary, I would have written with my own blood, but I couldn't. And if not in my diary, then certainly not to you. Does this help you, Mr. Watson? I said that I would tell you everything if I thought it would help you a bit.
It helps.
Good. Shall I tell you more?
Sure.
First a cigarette. There's no need for this battle between the sexes. Are you good at anatomy?
Yeah, no, well, I've been exposed to it.
I hope so. Then you know there's only one sex. The difference is only to allow for that interlocking which will permit the creation of life. You see it in the simplest plants.
Men are not the same as women.
Two plants are the same. Two blades of grass are more alike than different. Are you saying that men and women are two different races?
No, certainly not, but there are some outstanding anatomical differences.
The only difference is that difference which is required for propagation.
You're just trying to be contentious.
You want me to play the piano for you? You could sit and watch and coo and flatter, and I could pretend that you didn't understand.
No, I'd rather argue with you. You were a communist in the 1800s.
If it had been 50 AD in Rome, I would have been a Christian.
Just to rebel against the established way of doing things.
Social reform is the duty of every citizen, and that reform should be to assure that in the future there'll be no more poor.
So did you believe in the violent overthrow of government?
Violent? I didn't say anything about violence. Killing? That's savage. Bury it in the past.
Well, then how do you get social change?
Slowly. You don't make the rich equals of the poor by taking away their wealth. The rich are unskilled. They'd die. They'd have no jobs. You let them fade away as long as they don't hinder our progress.
That sounds very calm.
Everything born of violence dies of violence. Do you want to perpetuate such a cycle? The ethics taught in the gospel, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt be thy brother's keepers. These were true even before the gospel. If you don't take Christianity into your socialism, you're a materialist. You're one of those people who believe because foxes eat rabbits and eagles kill foxes, that the strong have some sort of obligation to conquer the weak. That sort of action would sanctify any crime, all tyranny. I believe in a better socialism than that.
And also because if the strong must conquer the weak, then men being stronger will conquer the women?
Another cigarette?
Is that my prize?
Sort of prize. It's all one. All one. If man is not free, how can woman hope to be free?
Is your socialism going to bring that about?
I thought that for a while. It's all based on equality. If everyone is equal, then everyone is free. Socialism is the true Christianity.
Not anymore, it's not.
When I was a young girl in the convent, I dreamt of being a nun. Later, I thought that socialism would do the same for the whole world as a veil did in the cloister.
What do you mean? Service, sharing, commitment?
Yes.
Put that together for me with taking a man's name and a man's job and wearing a man's clothes.
Mr. Watson, you are exhausting. Back to that again? I lived a full 72 years. And all you care about is the costume I wore? Here, I have something for you. The latest fashion of the day. Let me just see.
What are you doing?
Now, let's see it on you. Oh, no, it suits your face perfectly. Now, there, what do you know of such things? Come sit on my lap.
I will not
Come
sit
here
on
now.
your lap.
You don't know. You know Monsieur Dupont's coming over for dinner later.
I know what you're trying to do. I know what
you don't know what I'm trying to do.
I know what you're trying to do.
What do you know of such things? Now, Monsieur Dupont's coming over, and after he leaves, I'm going to make it all better.
It was in places like this where top engine protection is a must that Shell developed the technology to formulate TLO, Premium Motor Oil. Today, TLO with the unique additive Shellbits 50 will give your car top engine protection against anything Canadian driving conditions can throw at it. TLO for top engine protection.
Your gentle face is my sunshine. Your growing world fills my life in little ways. You make my days. You are the sunshine of my life.
The new fresh taste of Old South Golden Select. 100% pure and natural. The sunshine of your life.
You are the sunshine of my life.
Old South.
The look, that's cover girl. The look, that's cover girl. Now get the feeling, now get the fragrance, so fresh, so clean. That's cover girl body mist cologne. You've got the look, that cover girl look. You've got the look, that cover girl. Now get the feeling, so fresh, so clean. Get the feeling, cover girl body mist cologne.
I've got a confession to make. I've always loved the freshness of Tic Tac, but when mint sweetened without sugar came along, I figured I'd give up some of that freshness to get fewer calories. Know what? I was wrong. I can enjoy freshness all day with Tic Tac sweetened with sugar. 5 Tic Tacs contain as many calories as 1 mint sweetened without sugar. So I'm staying with Tic Tac. I don't have to give up taste or freshness. Tic Tac with sugar. Stay with the freshness you love.
All right, I surrender. Can we get this thing off?
And such a pretty little thing, too. Patrick. Is Chopin here?
No, it's somebody else playing.
Someone else playing his work. Someone else. A single instrument. He spoke a language of infinity.
And he still affects you like that, Chopin. your most important lover?
Lover? I was Frederick's virgin for 9 years.
But then why, when I spoke of him earlier as your lover?
Is love only in the physical act? Besides, many people accused me of... Frederick was not a strong man. People accused me of making him sick with incessant physical demands. Frederick said I made him sick by not giving in to his desires. But if I had, he would have been twice as ill. He was too ill for anything but platonic love. Is it all that important? Whether we made love or not?
I think so. Didn't you think it was important when your daughter Solange became Chopin's lover? You are a strong woman.
Never make a strong woman the hero of your piece, Watson. The critics will murder you. I am strong. That's why the critics called me perverse. But if I hadn't been strong, if I'd just done what they wanted me to do, if I'd just done what they asked me to do, if I'd just been their little girl, I would have lost my mind. I did what was necessary for the good of my soul.
You made yourself like a man.
No. I know too much of men to want to do that. I just used what was necessary. I took a name, clothes, whatever, for the good of my soul. I had an ability. I wanted to use it. I had love of love. Mr. Watson, for me, life has always been a journey with life as its goal. If it comes from God, it can't be harmful. Another cigarette?
Why not?
And an artist must live true to his nature.
His nature?
His, hers, c'est la même chose.
Somebody who knew Georges Sand at the end of her life, a grandmother playing with her grandchildren, long since passed by Christianity and communism, but still possessed of that passion for life and love, called her a gentle savage. She died saying, "Don't destroy the greenery." I'd say she was a titan. I'm Patrick Watson.
One week today, City presents Polyester, a not-so-great movie special brought to you by the miracle of Odorama. Get your Odorama card at participating Max convenience stores and get ready to scratch and sniff. You'll get full instructions next Saturday at 10:30. Polyester, smell it on City.
Wine cooler, make it your choice, Joy.
Get out the Splits Fritz, put it in the fridge biz, give it a chill, Lil. Get out the Splits. Got a light taste craze, try it on ice bright, cruise on the way, babe. Get out the Splits.
Splits, made with white wine, tingly water, and tangy citrus flavor.
Here's what you do, Drew. Twist on the cap, Mac. Give it a whirl, Cheryl. Get out the Splits.
Splits wine cooler at your liquor store, Lenore.
Get out the Splits.